نمسكار درشكون، يا مرحبا الساعة في حلقة جديدة من المأدبة الفاخرة. حلقة الفاين دايننج لليوم من فندق زعبيل سراي بإطلالة ولا أجمل من دار الحي دبي وعلى جزيرة النخلة. هذا المطعم فاين دايننج إنديان الوحيد الموجود في منطقة النخلة، وهو مثل ما قلت لكم في زعبيل سراي. أطباق عريقة راح نتعرف عليها اليوم وراح نجربها، ولأن مطبخنا هندي آخر شيء أنا متحمسة وايد، فشو بقول لكم؟ توش عليه شلطة هي. مستر عماد، شكراً على استضافتنا في مطعم أمالا فاين دايننج إنديان كويزين.
أهلاً وسهلاً بك وشرفتونا.
أهلاً بك، تعرفنا عن نفسك بداية لو سمحت.
تحت أمرك. أنا عماد حمدي، أنا مدير قسم الأغذية والمشروبات بفندق جميع زعبيل سراي.
نعم، إذا أنت مدير الفود اند بيفرج في كل زعبيل سراي، وأنت مدير كذلك بالتالي أمالا فاين دايننج.
مزبوط.
طيب كم لك مثلا في إدارة فاين دايننج أمالا؟ خبرني شو التحديات اللي واجهتها مثلا كإدارة لفاين دايننج.
أكيد أنا طبعاً بقالي 25 سنة في مجال الفنادق. ابتديت من عمر 20 سنة. بقالي 16 سنة بالإمارات ما بين دبي أبو ظبي وراس الخيمة.
تمام.
مجموعة جميرة طبعاً كان لي الشرف إن أنا اشتغلت بثلاث فنادق مختلفة من مجموعة جميرة، وجميع زعبيل سراي الرابع. فطبعا في مريت على مجموعه مطاعم كبيره بجميره وبعض الشركات الثانيه اللي اشتغلت فيها.
يختلف يوم تكون في اداره فاين دايننج عن مطاعم من فئات اخرى؟
اكيد الفاين دايننج كل حاجه بحساب، بتحاسب على كل حاجه فيها. الفاين دايننج ما عادت بتكون بس ان انت جو اند داين فور فود، الاكسبيرينس كامله من الارايفل اكسبيرينس، من قبل حتى ما توصلي للمكان، من وانت تحاولي تحجزي للمكان. لازم يكون في فرق ما بين الفاين دايننج وبين النورمال دايننج.
ارضاء الكاستمرز اللي هم يعني لهم علاقه بالفاين دايننج يختلف عن ارضاء الكاستمرز بشكل عام؟
ده اكيد جدا جدا طبعا.
من اي ناحيه؟
الفاين دايننج الاكسبكتيشن بتكون عاليه جدا.
تمام.
الضيف اللي بيجي رايح فاين دايننج بيكون عنده اتنشن لديتيلز غير اللي النورمال دايننج. لازم يكون في ستوري تيلينج للاكسبيرينس. الجست بيبقى جاي بيبقى عايز يسمع ويشوف ان في تفاصيل، وكل الديتيلز تبتدي من اول ما بيوصل للمطعم لحد ما بيطلع يغادر وياخد ركبته ويغادر المكان.
يعني ستوري تيلينج، ونحن نتكلم عن الإمارات اللي فيها أكثر من 200 جنسية، ودبي وهي أكيد يعني بعد مدينة تنافسية عالية. فهاو دو يو تيل ذس ستوري إن دبي وايل نحن في سوق تنافسية عالية؟
طبعا أنا دبي، لو بنتكلم عن دبي بالأخص، أنا جيت دبي 2007، ومن أول ما وصلت دبي وكنا دايما كل مرحلة بنقول دبي اكسباندينج، دبي مطاعم بتكبر. فتخيلي من هالفترة لحد دلوقتي قد إيه دبي بالنسبة لمجال المطاعم والفنادق
نعم
توسعت بكتير، والمنافسة قوية جدا. فعشان تستمر لازم يكون في ضيافة مختلفة تقدم لكل الزبون.
نعم.
يكون في استمرارية، وهذه بتعتمد على بس مش الأكل أو الشيف، دايما بيكون كمان لها علاقة بالموظفين، قد إيه هم نولجبل عن البرودكت بتاعتهم، والكونسستنسي للسيرفيس للجست بتقدم للجست.
كما يقال الوصول سهل ولكن الاستمرارية هي اللي تلعب دور.
مزبوط طبعا.
طيب تكلمت عن الموظفين وعن الشيف، رح ناخذ كل جزء على حدة. خبرني عن الموظفين، كيف يتم اختيارهم؟
بالنسبة لأمالة بالأخص، أمالة من ضمن المطاعم المشهورة جدا بالإمارات.
نعم.
ومجموعة جميع بالأخص، إحنا المطعم الهندي الوحيد مجموعة جميع. الموظفين بأمالة كلهم هاند بيكت، دي اول تشوزن فور ريزن. احنا دايما بنختار الموظف على الشخصيه بتاعته والبيرسوناليتي، ولازم ترفلكت الكوزين والكونسبت. فالموظفين بأمالة كلهم هاند بيكت. الموظف بأمالة كويتر متدرب زيه زي الشيف فور اكزامبل بالنسبه للفود، عنده فول برودكت نوليدج، بيقدر يحكي عن كل ديش وكل انجريدينت بالمطعم، ويقدر يحكي تفاصيلها وازاي الشيف بيحضر كل طبق من اطباق المنيو.
يعني نحن هنا نتكلم عن ثقافه اكثر من انه فقط تقديم خدمه، يعني
هي ده اللي بيعمل الفرق الكبير ما بين الفاين دايننج وما بين النورمال دايننج. اكيد.
ايش قد مهم انه يكون الموظف ريبريزنتيف مستر عماد؟
طبعا هو كل واحد، انا دايما مع الموظفين بتوعي دايما بقول لهم انتوا على المسرح، يعني كل واحد بيكون موجود، بيكون الضيف قاعد على الطاوله بيشوف احنا ازاي بنتحرك، بيشوف احنا ازاي عندنا ثقه في النفس لما نيجي نتكلم عن البرودكت بتاعتنا، وازاي نكون فخورين واحنا بنحكي عنها، ونقدر نوصل للجست ونقنعه ان هو لازم يستمتع بهذا الطبق لسبب معين. فالموظفين طبعا مهم جدا ان هم يكون عندهم هذه المعلومات.
طيب اختيار الإدارة اللي تيجي من تحتك، إدارة المطاعم على يعني حدة بشكل منفصل أو الأسيستنت، بعد يعني على شو تركز أكثر شيء؟
هو أول حاجة لازم يكون كلنا كمجموعة واحدة كتيم، أهم شيء يكون في دايما بيكون فينا تواصل. نعم. والارتباط بالنسبة للتيم، الموظف سواء كان مدير أو كان موظف صغير لازم كلنا نكون عندنا نفس الهدف ونفس التارجت. نعم. وكل واحد يبقى عارف بالضبط إيه مسؤولياته على حدة، بنقدر نوصل للهدف بتاعنا. فطبعا مسؤولية المساعد المدير أو المدير مهمة جدا جدا، لأنه هو بيكون الرابط ما بين الإدارة وبين التيم الموجود اللي هو دايركت سيرفن للجست.
نتكلم عن أهم نقطة في أمالا از فاين دايننج واللي هو الشيف.
أكيد.
تحدي.
أكيد.
والشيفز كثر في دولة الإمارات، والإنديان كوزين مشهورة ومهمة في دولة الإمارات، كيف تختار الشيف؟
شيف برافيش لو بحكي عنه، أنا شيف برافيش اشتغلت معاه من أكثر من 7 سنوات بمجموعة جميع وفنادق تانية. نعم. شيف برافيش مختلف جدا عن أي شيف تاني. شيف برافيش اتعلم على يد والدته.
ما شاء الله.
اتعلم الطبخ على يد والدته، وبيعمل هوم ريسيبيز. فيري كرييتيف شيف، فيري باشنت على الفود تبعه. شيف برافيش بيسافر يجيب انجريدينتس معينة من الهند. وشيف برافيش كمان عنده هنا جاردن صغيره بيعمل الهيربز بتاعته بالاوتيل، فبيعمل فريشلي هيرب بالاوتيل موجوده.
يعني احنا هنا قاعد نتكلم عن باشن، تجاوز موضوع ان شغل ان الواحد يكون شيف او يطبخ او يحضر وصفه. ايش قد مهم فعلا يكون الشخص شغوف بعمله.
هذه فعلا اكثر حاجه بتعمل فرق ما بين الشخص اللي هو بيقضي واجب او بيقضي عمله، والشخص الثاني اللي هو فعلا عنده الشغف على اداء واجبه.
طب أي استراتيجية إدارية تتبع أستاذ عماد؟ يعني هل مثلاً عندك أنت بروتوكول معين فيه 1+1=2، ولا تعطي الحرية الكاملة للشيف أنه مثلاً to create a new dish مثلاً؟
طبعاا هي بتعتبر تعاون متكامل، بس لازم سواء الشيف أو مدير المطعم أو مساعد مدير المطعم لازم يكون عندهم هذه قوة اتخاذ القرار.
نعم.
في نفس الوقت أنا لازم أكون leading from front. فاحنا مع بعض دايما بنعمل مونثلي ميتينجز، بنعمل اناليسيز للمنيو تبعنا، ايه افضل شيء حاصل بالمطعم. احنا دايما بنعمل تراك للفيدباك. الفيدباك من الكاستمرز بتوعنا مهم جدا جدا جدا.
كنت انا بسالك عن الكاستمر ساتسفاكشن والفيدباك والفولو اب، كيف تشتغل على هالموضوع؟ تعتمد على السوشيال ميديا ولا دايركت كوميونيكيشن؟
لا، هذه انا من ضمن نجاح لاي مدير مطعم ان ما ينفعش مدير مطعم يكون عنده ضيف بالمطعم بتاعه و does not touch base with the guest. تمام. لازم direct during the experience، لازم مدير المطعم او المسؤول عن المطعم you touch base every table، على اساس ان ده مهم جدا ان انت تقدري تاخدي الفيدباك، لان بيكون عندك الفرصه to recover لو في شيء ما not up to their expectation، بيقدر يكون في فرصه ان انت تريكفر ده. يعني
صارت قبل ان احد الكاستمرز كان عنده مثلا ملاحظه او شكوى او كومنت معين يعني، وكيف تعاملت معه؟
شوفي، هو بالنسبه للمطعم الهندي انت عارفه عشان دايما الهند مشهورين جدا بالسبايسز، فدايما بتلاقي ناس نفسها تاكل اكل هندي بس دايما بيخافوا شويه من ليفل السبايسز، فدي دايما بتكون كومن ريكويست.
انا واحده منهم على فكره.
لا احنا طبعا عندنا هنا ان دايما الشيف برافيش از فيري فلكسبل، وبنقدر تو ميت كل الاذواق للزباين تبعتنا، فبناخد على حسب البريفرنس تبعتهم، ويقدر الشيف يحضر الاطباق مخصوص على ذوقهم يعني.
طيب هذه كلها اندور خلينا نقول ولا انسايد؟ نتكلم شوي اوت دور او اوتسايد. التفاصيل استاذ عماد، يعني احنا الحين نسولف وقاعدين نسمع صوت الماي. اختيار الوان الاكواب، القرفه هون قاعده اشوفها يعني بعد انه خبرني عن هذه التفاصيل في الفاين دايننج، كيف تختارها كالوان، كالسميل، الميوزك، عشان انها تضفي فاين دايننج لكونسبت أمالة.
اكيد طبعا زي ما حكينا دايما الاكسبيرينس للفاين دايننج بتبتدي من قبل حتى ما توصل للمكان.
تمام.
ازاي بيتواصلوا معاكي تكونفيرم الريزرفيشن تبعك، واول ما تروح لو لاحظتي عندنا بالمطعم على باب عندنا مومباي تاكسي موجود بره، ففي حاجات معينه لازم الجست يحس ان هو كانه بالهند،
وصل الهند.
وصل الهند. فدي طبعا كل تاتش بوينت على الطاوله اتس سيلكتد فور ا ريزن. هذه السينامون والبيز الشيف بنفسه محضرها، حاطط مجموعه من الاعشاب والسينامون بيها فدي نفسها ريفلكتنج الكوزين. طبعا صوت المي زي ما اتكلمنا، وزهره اللوتس حواليك زي ما اتكلمنا مع الكاندل. نعم. هذه كلها اشياء لازم تتاخذ بالاعتبار. دايما بنبص على البليت والكروكريز وازاي الطاوله تكون سمبل عن تفاصيل بسيطه. دي كلها بتعمل الميوزك مهمه جدا جدا طبعا. الميوزك جزء كبير من الدايننج اكسبيرينس طبعا. احنا عندنا طبعا هنا الستار بلاير بيلعب بالويك اند لايف ستار بلاير. طبعا الميوزك ريفلكتس الكوزين تبع اماله، وفي نفس الوقت ريفلكتس كومفورتبل امبيانس للناس اللي بتحس بالراحه وهي بتسمع الميوزك.
انا اوريدي اشعر بالراحه. وسعيده جدا على هذا اللقاء مستر عماد معك، وحمسني بالبرزنتيشن مالك اني اتعرف والتقي بالشيف، خاصه وانه تعلم على يد والدته. فاوريدي يعني هذا الشغف اللي يكون جاي من الطفوله من البيت ما يضيع، فلازم نحن نتعرف عليه. شكرا لك مره اخرى على هذا اللقاء.
تشرفت كثير بمعرفتك.
شكرا.
تحت امرك.
مثل ما شفتوا خلصنا اللقاء مع أستاذ عماد. وايد حمسني إني أتعرف على الشيف برافيش، وراح أتعرف عليه ولكن بعد هذا الفاصل. Chef Praveen, namaste.
Namaste.
How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
I'm so excited to meet you, especially after what Mr. Amad said about you. If you can give us a brief or a small introduction about yourself.
Well, I come from a humble background of Mumbai, which is my city, born and brought up there. And well, cooking is something I've inherited from my mom. It's in the DNA, I can say. She has passed on to me. She's a lovely cook. And something which I've learned it from my childhood in my small kitchen of my mom. And then gradually I developed it into when I got into the culinary school. And there on was lucky enough to work with some really good chefs, some with classical approach, some with modern approach. And then I reached here, this podium of Jumeirah Zabil Sarai, wherein I can express myself in the food which I cook based on the guest preferences which we get, which is always on the top of my list, my guest preferences, and which helps us to curate different kinds of dishes, the food which I cook here in Jumeirah Zabil Sarai. Also, we take into account certain programs like sustainability and stuff like that.
This is very nice.
Yes, I mean, which we are in Jumeirah, we are very much focused into. Overall, I mean, these are some of the factors like childhood nostalgia, my mom's cooking, learning with different kinds of chefs, and then the different experiences with various cuisines.
So in this case, did you choose Amala or Amala choose you?
Well, it's both ways, I can say. It's
Okay.
both ways, actually. One of our ex-GMs, I mean, he asked me to come and join Amala.
Okay.
I mean, and it's been a privilege to work with a restaurant which has been standing on its foot for the last 11 years. You see Indian restaurants coming up every now and then, but this restaurant has stood rock solid. And even we have won various accolades in the last 4 years.
Okay.
The recently won was a highly commended Indian restaurant by Hotelier and Catering magazine.
Okay.
So we are doing a steady, approach towards our guests, meeting catering to what they require.
Yeah, but here we are talking about fine dining.
Yes.
So what
of
are
course.
the challenges you faced in the fine dining field?
Fine dining is like basically you have to keep up with the latest trends. Now
Yeah.
that is the most important thing. And the guest eats with minimum disturbance on the plate. I
Okay.
mean, that is the pure essence of fine
Details,
dining.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when they enjoy the food, I mean, as it is, when you see our food, it's like generally if there is a bone in a particular dish, we shred it off the bone so the guest doesn't have to disturb themselves.
Okay. You do take care even about those small details.
Everything.
It is important, yeah, for the customer satisfaction, chef.
Absolutely. I mean, we always say you cook the meat in such a way that they don't use a knife, they use a spoon so that it's
Okay.
cooked so smoothly.
Okay.
So-
I'm sure that your mom is so proud of you.
Well, she is, but still she's a better cook, I can say, than me.
Do you still learn from her till now?
Yes, I mean,
Yeah?
like about Indian cooking, it's mostly about like the cooking, like cultural cooking.
Exactly.
Like when you see Emirati
It's an
cooking, it's about the
authentic, yep.
cooking cuisine which has not been developed in commercial kitchen.
Okay.
It's been developed by those moms and grandmoms who cooked
Lovely.
in their kitchen.
Yeah.
It's we chefs who have got the privilege of taking that food and presenting it here. and
DNA, as
exactly,
you said.
Exactly.
Since you mentioned the tradition Indian food, let me ask you a bit about the authentic
Yes.
Indian cuisine. How do you maintain the authentic Indian cuisine? And you are in Dubai and UAE with over 200 nationalities.
Yes. One thing I would say is I'm blessed to work in UAE, considering it's so close to India, and the spices and the ingredients are so easily available.
Okay.
So that is one big plus point of cooking Indian cuisines. I interact with a lot of my friends who work in the UK and Canada.
Okay.
So I understand their challenges of procuring authentic ingredients. Second thing, if you go to my kitchen, you'll always smell of spices because
will.
we make most of our spices in-house.
Okay.
So that gives a different touch to it for your food. Plus, we also keep in mind that nowadays guests are very health conscious.
Yeah.
So to make sure that it's not over-rich or like enriched with extra like fats or something,
Okay.
we maintain it nicely. And also the balance of the spices is very important so that every nationality which comes to our restaurant, they enjoy the food.
Yeah.
Especially if you come in the evening,
Yeah.
you'll see different nationalities dining on different tables.
Yeah.
So that's
And
the
also,
sign.
Mr. Imad told me that you travel by your own self to India to
Yes.
bring ingredients. How?
Yes. I mean,
this is
like,
important.
example, I'll tell you from my native place. I
Yeah.
belong to a place called Mangalore, which is a coastal area. So I tend, whenever I go down to India, I mean, I go to my rural place in
Yeah.
native place. And you know, these small joints, restaurants which are
Okay.
there, they serve food on your plate with a banana leaf on top.
Okay.
So I mean, I can say they are very much sustainable with that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that is there. When you eat that, you get that authentic touch. And then when
Lovely.
you visit their kitchens, they still use the stone grinders.
Nice.
The spices are actually grown behind the house. The ingredients are grown behind
Food
the
is
house.
about culture and only experience of 5 or 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Indian food was never documented as such when we started. It was
Okay.
only about passing off from one generation to another.
And
Like
here
my
we
mom-
are. Exactly. Since we are in Dubai and UAE, tell me, how do you work to maintain the sustainability in cooking using the organic ingredients from local markets especially?
Yes, I mean, like there are a lot of things which we procure from our local market, like
Yeah.
seafood is there, which
Okay.
we procure from the local market. There are vegetables, a lot of vegetables which are grown in our local market. Plus, we have a beautiful hydroponic farm, which is in-house farm inside Zabil Sarai.
Mr. Amad told me you have your
Yes.
small farm.
It's like we actually grow lettuces, microgreens,
Okay.
all these things. We are looking forward to other vegetables, but in the coming period.
You are the first chef who I interview in fine dining who have his own farm inside the
I'm
hotel
lucky for
you
that,
work
and
in.
thanks to Zumaira Zavil
So,
Sarai.
Tell me, what about the customers, chef? Do you have direct communication with them?
Yes, definitely, because
Yeah.
customer feedback is very important, not only to identify what we are doing good, also to identify what may be improved or can
Exactly.
be done better.
Yep.
So like last 4 years, I've changed the menu almost like 10 to 12 times, and every time this menu change was based on the feedback
Yeah.
what we collected over the period of time.
Okay.
So example, a particular dish, probably the spice level is too high, we reduce it.
Yeah.
Particularly this dish, maybe the guests are not preferring. Like one of the dishes which we are preparing today, it's specially made for a vegan guest.
Okay.
So a dessert, vegan.
So you can customize even the ingredients and the
Yes,
cooking
a
depends
very,
on
very
the
flexible
customer.
kitchen.
What about your staff? How do you choose your staff? How do you train your staff? How do you follow up with your staff?
Yes, first and foremost, for me, attitude is like
Number
everything.
one, yeah.
I mean, I always tell, even if you don't have talent, if you have the attitude and the wish,
Yeah.
I will teach you, I will
got it.
will train you all.
Yeah.
I want, my aim is, like 5 years, 10 years down the line, I want each of these guys to be leading a kitchen somewhere
Lovely.
around in the world.
Do you have like the power and the freedom to create a new dish from the scratch, or you follow the protocol of the Jumeirah Zabil Sarai or the management itself?
I mean, the management has been great that they have given me a free hand. I mean, they
Nice.
have like built guidelines, like we are a classical restaurant, fine
Okay.
dining as well. So in the rehems of it, I keep my food
Okay.
and I create it. So there's a lot of freedom in that way. The management has been quite appreciative, and they have been constructive whenever there needs to be things to be changed.
And you do the same with your staff?
I mean, in our kitchen, you know, one good thing about our kitchen
me.
is, I'll tell you, whenever we create a menu,
Okay.
whenever we have a food promotion, like
Yeah.
we have the mango food promotion in the month of May, June, then the mangoes are coming in abundance.
It's a season.
So what I do is,
Yeah.
I give them a guidelines and I tell them, come up with a starter, you come up with a kebab, you come up with the main
Very
course.
nice.
I just see how far they can think. What happens is it burns that it sparks their creativity aspect.
Motivation.
And they exactly,
Yeah.
and they feel they have contributed towards that particular menu. You know, you feel belong to that department. You
Exactly.
feel belong to that. You have
Exactly.
contributed something.
And already I feel that you do work from your heart. That's why I'm so excited to go inside the kitchen and try the
Definitely.
dishes we're going to
Yes,
prepare today in
sure.
this episode. Thank you so much for this lovely
My
interview,
pleasure.
Chef Brafeesh. And are you ready?
Absolutely.
Shall we?
Looking forward.
Yalla, let's go.
Let's go. Thank you.
مثل ما شفتوا وسمعتوا، الشيف برافيش تعلم على يد والدته، وانا متحمسه جدا ان اذوق يعني كويزين انديان من الاجداد وصولا الى هذا الجيل، ولكن بعد هذا الفاصل. Chef, finally in the kitchen. You
Yes.
know, it's the first time we cook outside. يعني مأدبة فاخرة من الخارج because the weather is amazing.
Amazing, I know.
So thanks for helping to achieve this, to cook outside in
Surely.
Zabil Sarai. But before we start, Chef, let me know what inspired you in fine dining field.
I mean, as I said, like, I mean, when I started at a Commie 3 level, I mean, which is like one of the
Okay.
lowest position, and then I climbed forward. What I noticed is like fine dining cooking will help me refine my cooking skills, and it will make me understand what we previously discussed as balanced flavors,
Exactly.
the proper diet, and all these things.
What differentiates Indian cuisine from others?
Like Indian cuisine, I would say it's much more complex. I mean, if you
Yeah?
go to see, it's much more complex,
Okay.
and it's very cultural. I mean, of course, there are other cuisines which are cultural, but
Sure.
then Indian cuisine, as I said, it's like much more passed on from generation to generation rather than invented or created in a kitchen like that.
Does your experience affect your work in UAE since your background is from India?
I mean, it helps a lot because, you know, I mean, you have been eating this food since childhood and you've grown up with it.
Lovely.
So it generally it attaches you from the cultural level and helps you understand how far you can go with this food.
I will cut your passion
Yes.
to get the DNA
Yes.
flavor. So let's start with our first dish,
Sure.
Chef. What is it?
Basically, what I'm going to do is, this is a very simple dish. It's a very hearty and light dish,
Okay.
which I especially, I mean, we are making for a vegetarian guest.
Okay.
There's a lot of demands for vegetarian these days.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
People
what we
can
thought
become
was-
healthy.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure you heard of palak paneer. It's one of the
Yeah.
spinach and cottage cheese.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
so
can
what
see.
we thought was we'll make a starter out of it.
Okay.
So this is basically a combination of spinach, some homemade spices, which gives that extra touch, that Amala touch, which I call
Amala
it always.
touch, okay.
And a combination of ingredients.
Shall we?
So, sure.
Yeah, tell me about the first step.
So first and foremost, what I do is I would like you to smell this spices. This is a homemade spice mix. Okay, so
Very
this
nice.
is like we try to create our own identity. That's what we call it. That we create our own spice mixes, which gives a true identity for
You
our
keep
food.
your
like that.
own signature,
Exactly.
let's say.
Exactly.
What is it, the one I smell?
That is that's a crushed coriander masala, we call it in the kitchen.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So we put
So
olive
we put oil.
oil. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's not an olive oil.
I mean, generally, I mean, I avoid using Indian kitchen
Cuisine,
olive oil,
yeah.
apart from any dressing which I have to make.
Okay.
Otherwise, generally cooking oil or sunflower oil,
With
corn
the
oil.
normal oil.
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
Okay, and then
So once the oil is hot enough, I add the spice mixer and a bit of cumin seeds.
okay.
And then I add some ginger, chopped ginger.
I love ginger.
So I'll add a bit more of it.
It's healthy, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of garlic.
Garlic.
And a
This
bit
is
of
from the local market in UAE.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And the green chili, just to give that
Little, please.
little.
Yeah,
yes.
not much.
So this is where I always train my staff into, like, when you're cooking, I mean, these are the basic steps which actually enhances your end product. When you're cooking onion, garlic, ginger, make sure you cook it properly.
Okay.
You overburn it, it's burnt. You keep it raw, my guest will hate it because garlic smelling.
Okay.
So
Good
it's-
advice.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Cook it at the right point, I mean, nicely colored, and then
Becomes
you can follow
golden
that.
now, the color.
Yes.
And the smell is nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's actually the aroma which is of the spice
Yeah.
mix, which is combining with
I
the
can
ginger
see.
garlic.
Okay. So this is a traditional Indian starter.
Yeah, traditional, you can say. I mean, as I said, like in India, we never had any cuisine written down.
Okay,
so
I
you
got it,
cannot,
yeah.
I mean, like my mom makes lentils in a particular way. My friend's mom makes it without dry red chilies, maybe.
Okay,
My
okay.
mom makes it with particular 3 different kinds of lentils.
Okay.
So it varies from the house to house, and then gradually it started getting developed.
Okay.
So it's nicely colored. Now what I do is I toss my, this is a blanched spinach which has been chopped.
Uh-huh.
I ensured all the water is gone because the reason being we are going to make a cake out of it, a patty out of it.
Okay.
So we drained out all the water.
Okay. Should be dry, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
So the more dry it is, the easy it is for the cake, because once you make the cake, you're going to pan sear it, then you're going
I
to
got
serve
it.
it like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
What I'm going to try, I'll add a bit of salt,
Okay.
basically to remove any excess water. Salt tends to remove the water.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you one secret. I mean, one of the
Secret?
things, not secret. I mean, one of the things which I always practice. I always add salt to my desserts.
Why?
I add a bit of sugar to my curries.
Okay.
I know it's weird, but then I'll tell you why. The reason being, salt, the basic purpose of salt is to bring out the flavors of other ingredients.
Okay.
So when you add, I mean, don't add salt like you want to make it like as in the recipe they write to taste. No, just close your eyes, pinch of salt in your dessert, and like that. Similarly, what happens is salt. If it's like a mango ice cream, you're making mango ice cream. You add the salt, the taste of mangoes is more.
Sometimes we do. We put salt with the sugar in baking. In case.
Exactly. I mean, that is the whole idea. I mean, in curries, why I add it is because there's a tartness of lemon, maybe tomatoes. It balances it off.
I got it.
It's not cutting it, it just balances it off.
Got it. Now it's all mixed together.
Yes. Now I'll add in the next ingredient, which is the green peas.
Okay.
Because if you have only spinach, it tastes a bit one-sided. Like green peas, the combination, it gives a very nice flavor together.
Nice. Okay.
So basically, we use like double the quantity of, like half the quantity of the spinach for the green peas. Very simple dish. Make it at home anytime, any day. Very easy to make. We can also use baby spinach. It tastes much better, cooks faster.
Now?
I'll add the potatoes, some boiled and grated potatoes for the binding basically.
Okay.
And the paneer, the grated paneer.
Paneer.
Yes, the cottage cheese which we call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese. I mean, to be honest, I mean, in India now the cheese is developing, but previously it was like paneer and some processed cheddar which was available.
I got it. This is from India, the cheese?
I mean, now we get it locally here.
Okay.
We have
It's
our own
available
supplier. We can also make it in-house. That's not a problem, but it's better when you make it in bulk. It's like when I used to make like 32 liters of milk produces 8 kg of paneer, approximately, more or less.
Okay. We'll try not to talk while mixing.
Okay.
Did you try to cook before outside?
Never.
Never?
Never.
What about if a customer asks you to cook in front of them outside?
Generally, we don't have this kind of setup, to be honest.
So this is only for us?
It's only for us.
Thank you so much.
I mean,
but it's a nice idea, come on.
Actually, it's a nice idea. We can get a trolley. We did only a live counter, like a Pani Puri live counter.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Or maybe a dessert or something.
Okay.
But never actual live cooking. But that's a nice idea, actually. For my next food promotion, I have to put this.
Yeah, I have to.
So now what I'll do is I'll season it up.
Okay.
This is the cumin powder. Bit of it. Bit of the garam masala.
From India, yeah?
This we make it in-house. This is from the spices of UAE.
Very
like
nice.
we have a particular ratio of all the ingredients.
Okay.
And a bit of dry fenugreek powder. You know, I mean, if you had butter chicken anytime, there is a particular black spots in your gravy.
Okay.
This is the one.
This is the one.
This is the one.
Okay. Secrets.
And it's like it tends to give a very sharp flavor like that.
What is the best advice you can give to the moms or the woman who cooks at home?
What I would, from my side, I would recommend is, see now, I mean, since the availability of ingredients have increased,
Yeah.
try to get the raw materials and make it in-house.
Okay.
Try to make it, try to produce your food. I mean, like rather than going for ready-cut cauliflower, which are frozen and all, rather you cut it,
Fresh.
blanch it, and you freeze it yourself.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is one
advice.
A healthy tip. I mean, I have a daughter and I try to do that for her. I mean, I try to get the raw materials, blanch or cook it or anything, and then freeze it rather than buying frozen from outside.
Nice.
You get chicken at home, make the mixture. It hardly takes time. So my mixture is almost ready.
Okay.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this into a bowl and make cakes out of it.
Yalla, let's go.
Yep. So now what we are going to do is we prepare the mixture, we allow it to cool it a bit, and then what we are going to do is we are going to make cakes out of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Be careful, it's hot.
Yeah. So now it's a bit hot now, but once it's cooled down, what we do is everything, I mean, it's a restaurant, so we start to standardize it. We make around 60 grams of, like, we weight each and every piece, like that. So we make cakes out like this.
And you serve it like this?
Yes, we just sear it on a pan with a little bit of butter and then serve it.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now?
Now, since our patties are ready, we'll just heat up a pan.
Okay.
If you don't have a non-stick pan, you can take a normal pan and use the butter paper, if you know, we use for baking.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can just tear it off, apply little oil and stick it.
Okay.
And then you can sear it off.
Okay.
So that will help you avoid the amount of oil on your existing patties.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Here I'll use butter. I'll be generous. Okay.
Okay, it's
So
hot now, the pan?
Yes, the pan is hot enough. Now I'll take each piece.
Okay.
Just sear it nicely.
You know, in Arabic we said like أجمل شتاء في العالم شتاء الإمارات.
Okay.
Means the best winter ever in the world is UAE winter.
Actually.
I'm enjoying the weather now with the Indian cuisine. It's just amazing. Do you agree?
I will always agree.
Okay.
So meanwhile, this is getting ready.
Yeah.
What I can do is I can arrange the plate.
Let's prepare the plate. I will help you.
Yes.
Yalla. It looks like falafel.
More or less.
You know falafel, yeah?
Yes, of course.
And the
I love
veg kebab. Also, you make veg kebab Indian cuisine.
Yes.
I know.
So I'll put 4 in.
Okay. And what sauce? Which sauce we're gonna use?
Now I have a couple of sauces. This is the homemade tomato chutney.
Okay.
I mean, like that. It's nice and spicy, so it balances off the flavor.
Tell me, how much presentation is important for the customer?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the first thing they do is they watch watch it. Like
exactly.
That.
And then?
Then I have a bit of mint chutney. I mean, the green chutney, the herb, the coriander, mint, and yogurt.
Lovely. Okay. Homemade also, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
And a bit of sweet yogurt. This will actually balance off the sourness and the spiciness of everything.
Okay.
I forgot actually one thing.
What we forget?
We are going to add some homemade crumbs. Actually,
Crumbs.
toasted crumbs.
Okay.
So what we do is we take some breadcrumbs and we heat up butter, add a bit of cumin powder, and just toast the crumbs.
Okay.
So it gives a nice texture to it.
Yalla.
So here you go.
And it's ready, yeah?
Yes.
Looks
A simple
very nice.
dish representing Amala.
I will try it later.
Later, definitely.
Yeah, it looks
Sure.
very nice, amazing, and healthy actually.
Healthy, very healthy.
It is. So I will give it a try later on. And now we're gonna
Go on
start
to the
our second dish,
Second
which
dish.
is
This is a Madras chicken curry.
okay.
So actually, Madras chicken curry, it's not like a traditional dish. It's something which I made especially for the kind of clients we have in Zabil Sarai. So you see, we have more of UK clients coming in.
Okay.
So they love to have the spicy chicken curry
Customized.
from the south.
Okay.
So especially, as I said earlier, like I change my
Take
menu
care.
based on my guest preferences.
got it.
So this is something out of it.
Let's go, chef.
Sure.
So our second dish.
Yes, the Madras chicken curry
Okay.
for my special guests who come from the UK, especially in Zabil Sarai.
Lovely,
So this is one we have created out of our own experiments and different trials like that. So what we do is basically we are cooking chicken drumsticks in a nice coconut and onion tomato based sauce.
Okay.
Okay, so what? It's a simple step. Like we add some oil,
Okay.
normal cooking oil, sunflower oil. You
Okay.
can also go for coconut oil.
Okay.
But then it depends. I mean, some people
will
do-
taste coconut.
different, and it like once you gulp down the sauce, the flavor of coconut is there all over your mouth.
Okay.
So I mean, I've seen many guests who love coconut, but they don't like too much of coconut in
I
their
got
recipe.
it. Okay.
So something
Okay.
to balance it off. So I take some mustard seeds.
Uh-huh.
It will splutter. This will remove the bitterness. If you keep your mustard seeds raw, it tends to be bitter.
Okay.
Add some ginger and green chili. Some garlic.
Some garlic.
Add in some curry leaves.
I believe the sauce is ready, and you will tell us it's made.
Yes. This is just the steps I will show you. I
Yeah.
mean, what happens is following this, I will add the onions in it. Once the onions are brown, I follow the powdered spices.
Okay.
And then once the powdered spices, the flavor goes off, the raw flavor, we add in the tomato puree.
Okay.
So I'll just, my onions, my ginger and garlic are nicely colored. I add in some onions. I mean, you might wonder the onion is a bit thick sliced because at the end of it, we are going to blend it all.
Okay.
So-
We're gonna blend it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the onion don't need to be very dark golden brown as in other Indian sauces.
Got
You
it.
just keep it transparent.
Okay.
This is one of the things I would love to share is about the onions. I've seen like when I started off as a career, it took me a long time to understand the cooking of onions.
Okay.
So this was one important aspect of the Indian cooking of learning gravies.
Okay.
Once you learn the different stages of onion cooking, then it's much easier to proceed further.
What is your like most favorable dish?
I mean, I love making starters, to be honest.
Yeah?
I love making starters,
Okay.
charts and all.
Okay. And what dish you're proud of?
Well, actually, you know, I mean, there is a dish which my mom used to make.
Okay.
It's a sauce, basically, chicken curry or something at home. What I did was, when I learned the base of the sauce, I added labna to it.
Labna. Okay.
Labna,
Okay.
Or Greek yogurt, either of it,
Okay.
a little bit of it.
Okay.
And then I applied to the chicken, I cooked it in the tandoor.
Tandoor.
So
I want
basically-
to say hi to your mom
Okay.
and thanks for this lovely chef with the DNA. We can smell, see, and we're gonna try the DNA. You teached him, you learned him. So thank you so much, Mom. Thanks for all moms and for my mom. Okay.
So that is how, I mean, like, we get it all together. This one. The onion is getting its color.
Yeah.
So now at a bit later stage, we add the tomatoes.
The tomato sauce.
The powdered spices followed by the tomatoes.
Okay.
And then once the tomatoes are cooked, we add in the coconut milk. So that is, once you blend it, you get this sauce.
Okay, so we have the ready sauce in the end.
Yes.
This one.
Can I remove this? I mean, we can
Yes,
start
sure,
with this.
sure.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. What I'll do is, meanwhile, just to give better flavor, I'm going to sear my chicken here. I'm just
okay.
going to sear it and I'm going to put it in the sauce and let it cook.
Okay.
So what happens is you get a nice flavored chicken as well. The sauces will enter the chicken and it's tasting much
Okay.
better.
So in this case, what advice you give to the junior chefs?
Be patient.
Patient.
I mean, like, go slow, let the onions brown. I mean,
Okay.
don't try to cook it on high flames and all. And moreover, understand the proteins. I mean, like, some people love to put the chicken directly in the sauce. What I prefer is give a nice color to it.
Okay.
Give a nice
okay.
color and then add it to the sauce. So
Give it
tastes
time, yeah,
exactly.
more, yeah. Chef, how do you control like your mood when you cook? Because as we know that the mood affects the taste, and that vibes and energy will be transferred to the dish. How do you control
Not
it?
really, to be honest.
Okay.
Should I be blunt enough? Actually, it either transfers to one of the equipments
Okay.
or it transfers to one of the staffs. I mean, generally it doesn't happen. Now,
Okay.
actually, through experience, I mean, initially, when we are not that new to the position, we tend to be like that.
Okay.
But then when you gain experience after experience,
You
you know how
control
to
it.
handle situations,
I got it.
you know how to handle pressure, you know how to rectify things, more importantly.
What about the peak time pressure? How do you handle it inside the kitchen, especially? How do you organize your team?
The most important is allocating. I
Okay.
mean, you should know, I mean, it's like an orchestra.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the pianist, he plays it well. The saxophone is playing well.
To get
You
the right
just give-
symphony in the end.
You just give a direction and it's smooth like an
I
orchestra.
got it. Okay.
Again, it's like once you spend more and more time in the kitchen,
it will become like a habit.
Like
Yeah.
But obviously, there has been situation where I've been lost in some other thoughts, maybe some pressure back home, whatever it is. Extra, it tends to affect the work.
Yeah.
So then you have to go side, gather yourself, and come back.
Exactly. Especially food.
Yes.
We'll put the chicken now.
Yes.
So now the chicken is ready, chef.
Ready.
What are you going to do?
Options. Either we pour the sauce on the base and arrange the chicken on top so it looks more attractive, or we pour the sauce, chicken in the sauce. So either ways we can do it.
Yeah,
what I'll do is,
okay.
I'll heat up the sauce. My chicken is almost ready. I'll just heat up the sauce which was blended earlier.
This sauce contains what? Tell me.
Okay, this sauce contains the same things which we were cooking earlier, the onions. We cooked it with some ginger, garlic and curry leaves, and then we have the powdered spices like turmeric, cumin powder, red chili powder and coriander powder. So these powder, once the raw flavor goes off, we add in tomato puree.
And we got this.
Let it cook and then add a bit of coconut milk and then blend it nicely.
Okay. Tika. You will add the coconut
milk. Yes, coconut milk.
Okay.
So again, coconut milk when we were learning, I mean, the cooking processes, like basically you get the grated coconut, we squeeze out, we put it in hot water, we squeeze out.
Okay.
So like first extract and second extract, or sometimes we blend it and then squeeze out the milk.
I got it.
So nowadays it's much more easier and convenient.
Yeah, to be concentrated.
Exactly.
Okay. So now the chicken is ready, the sauce is ready.
Sauce is almost ready.
We'll add coconut milk.
Okay.
Okay, and now?
The sauce is almost ready. What I'll do is I'm going to plate it up in a bowl. I'll pour the sauce first, this one. Instead of doing the regular dipping thing, I'll pour it like this.
Okay. Put the chicken on the sauce?
Yes.
Okay. You add some colors, yeah?
Yes. And this curry leaf, do you know the curry leaf has a property, like if you bite one curry leaf every day in the morning, it keeps your hair lush black and heavy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why Indian people have...
I mean, especially the southern part of India, if you see the thick, lush hair, I mean, not like they eat it like that, but this is one of the remedies they say.
I got it, okay.
It's like that.
It's ready, chef?
Yes, almost there.
So our second dish, the main course actually is ready.
Ready. I'll serve some rice or naan with it, so you can dip and eat it.
Thank you so much,
Welcome.
chef. So just keep it here.
Yes. Oops,
Stay here with me, it's okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, chef. This is our main course, the second dish. Now we'll go to the dessert, to the third dish.
Third dish, the badami firni, especially for my vegan guests.
Okay.
They come here asking for Indian dessert. If you see, most of our Indian desserts are milk-based, more or less, like many of them, gulab jamun, ras malai, whatever.
But
so
this
what
one?
we thought of is, there's a dessert called firni, which is basically a rice and milk pudding, milk and rice pudding.
Okay.
So we thought, why don't we shift our base from milk to almond milk?
Okay.
We tried it with different milks, actually, soya milk, we tried it with coconut milk.
But find out that almond milk is the best.
Almond milk is the best.
We're gonna try.
So we'll try
let's
that.
Let's go. So now, chef, the dessert?
Dessert, the vegan dessert, which is badami firni with some apricots in it. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to take some clarified, we call it vegetable fat. So there is no dairy in it as such. So once this is hot, what I'm going to add is some soaked cashew nut paste, which gives the thickness. You just have to heat it up, that's all. I mean, I don't need to cook it as such. We want the flavor of cashew nut to be there.
Okay.
So after the cashew nut paste, I added in the almond milk and let it simmer nicely so it's cooked together. So once this comes to a boil, I have made some rice paste. Basically, rice is soaked for 30 minutes and then blend it to a fine, smooth puree.
Okay.
You can keep a little bit of particles in it, so to get the bite. Doing that. So I've kept it ready here. So once this milk comes to a boil, I add this. So this is actually why we call it firni. Firni is basically a rice-based product.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for the milk to boil. So once this mixture
now
is
we're
done,
waiting for the milk to be
milk
boiled,
to
then
boil.
we will add
We
that
this,
things, and then
we
we'll get the
add
final
sugar.
one.
We add the sugar and your dessert, we pour it here and it goes to the chiller. Once it's set, then we add the remaining garnishes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now it's ready.
It's cooked
The milk
and
boiled,
ready.
we add
Yes.
the rice, and we got this final result.
Final result.
And now?
And now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to add some brown sugar on top.
Okay.
And give it a caramelized touch
Okay.
to it.
Okay. Only sugar, no salt, yeah?
I added salt already.
Okay. And caramel.
And caramel.
You will burn the sugar, huh?
Yes.
Okay. This is a fresh caramel.
Almost done.
Nice.
Now what I'll do is I'll add some garnish to it. I've got some praline made here.
Okay.
So it's basically sugar melted with some peanuts, with some almonds in it.
Okay.
I'll add it.
So some almonds and the milk based on almond milk,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
And some pistachios. And this is something called as a gaver. It's like basically a mixture of flour. Make a flour, slurry, flour, and some the vegetable fat. Mix it together with some ice cubes, and then
Okay.
you drop it.
Okay.
So
You
it
got
comes
this.
out like this porous ingredients.
Okay.
Like that.
You put it
So
on
we
the top.
put it on top.
Okay.
So here is our pure vegan badami firni.
Nice.
You can enjoy it.
Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you.
third dish.
Thank
I
you.
booked a table in Amala, fine dining.
okay.
I will go to give it a try, and thank you
Sure.
so much, Chef. Thank you.
Please,
Thank you.
please, Thank you. So how is the food, Ms. Khadija?
It's amazing. Thank you so much, Chef.
Thank you.
Thank
Please
you.
enjoy your food. Bon
Thank
appetit.
you. Thank you so much, Chef. طبعا من أمالة فاين دايننج من البالم وهذا الفندق الرائع. الأكل جدا لذيذ. بديت أنا بالستارتر، راح أكمل تشيكن وبعدين السويت، ولأن وصلنا لختام حلقتنا من الفاين دايننج، ولأن هذه الكويزين إنديان، آخر شيء أقول لكم بوهوت سوادشت.